Have you heard of the vaccine waiver? The CDC has set forth amended guidelines for those individuals who may be exempted from presenting proof of being fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Hi, my name is Andre Major, immigration attorney and an immigrant myself. In today's episode, I will discuss CDC's vaccination exemption guidelines for some qualified air travelers. Before I begin, please click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so that you get regular updates for all our immigration content. Also, feel free to leave a comment below to tell us what you think about today's subject. Now let's get started. If you are one of those people who plan to travel by air to the United States, you must present proof of being fully vaccinated against COVID-19 with some exceptions. Who qualifies for the exception? Exception number one, diplomatic and official foreign government travel. So non-U.S. immigrants and non-U.S. citizens who want to enter or transit the United States for certain diplomatic or official foreign government activities fall under this category. These non-citizens are the following: those that are traveling with a non-immigrant visa category like A1, A2, C2, C3, E1, G1, G1, 2, 3, or 4, NATO 1 through 4, or NATO 6. Non-citizens who travel in accordance with Section 11 of the United Nations Headquarters Agreement who travel with a legal duty imposed by the United States. Those under this category have to present the following requirements: proof of their visa classification or an official letter. For example, a letter from the U.S. government or a foreign government. If you've been invited by the United Nations, you must submit the letter of invitation or any other official document showing the purpose of your travel. You will need a covered individual attestation. Under this document, you must attest to receive a post-arrival viral test, to facilitate self-quarantine, except where attendance is necessary to carry out the functions and purpose of the travel, and to self-isolate if the post-arrival viral results come back positive or you develop COVID-19 symptoms. Exception number two, children. U.S. government recognized vaccines are not acceptable to certain groups of people globally, specifically kids. With this, non-immigrant children, meaning non-U.S. citizens, and not coming to the United States to immigrate permanently, children are exempt from the requirement to being fully vaccinated, provided they meet age-based exceptions to this proclamation. The exemption applies to those under 17, so 16 or younger, who are unable to present proof of being fully vaccinated against COVID-19. However, those aged 2 to 16 must present a covered individual attestation their parent or guardian may attest on their behalf. Child under the age of 2 are exempt from providing attestation since it would impose logistical obligations on their parents, and most airlines don't need them to obtain a ticket. Exception number 3, those who are under clinical trials. The exception benefit extends to those non-immigrant, non-citizens who participate or are presently participating in certain clinical trials for COVID-19 vaccinations as determined by the CDC. Considering that these individuals may or have received various vaccines that do not fall under the definition of an accepted COVID-19, they may be unable to produce proof of being fully vaccinated against COVID-19. They must, however, present official documents showing participation in a qualified clinical trial and a covered individual attestation. Section 4, those with medical contraindications. In a situation where receiving an accepted COVID-19 vaccine may pose medical contraindications, e.g. developing allergic reaction to the recipient, then the recipient may enjoy the exception benefit under the proclamation. In other words, you don't have to be vaccinated. Keep in mind, you're going to need a licensed physician who has to evaluate and determine your medical condition. As proof, you have to present a signed letter from a licensed physician stating that getting COVID-19 vaccination is medically contraindicated and a covered individual attestation. Exception 5, Humanitarian and emergency exceptions. Those wanting to travel to the United States for humanitarian and emergency reasons may take advantage of this exception. It's important to note that the CDC narrowly defines those reasons, such as the necessity to travel to the United States would preserve one's health and safety and is unable to be fully vaccinated before traveling to the country. Furthermore, those sponsoring such individuals must inform the nearest U.S. embassy or consulate from which they are departing. Once received, the embassy will forward the case to the CDC for review. Those under this exemption must present an official U.S. government letter and a covered individual attestation. Moreover, if their stay is more than 60 days in the U.S., they must attest to have arranged to receive a post-arrival vaccine within 60 days of arrival in the States or as soon as medically necessary, as determined by the CDC. Exception number 6, limited vaccine availability. Category refers to foreign nationals whose country has limited COVID-19 vaccine availability. For your country to be considered, fewer than 10% of the total population must have been completed vaccinated with any accessible COVID-19 vaccine, or the CDC director must otherwise assess the availability of COVID-19 as limited. You will then need to present passport issued by your origin country, non-immigrant visa, excluding the B1 or B2 visa, and the covered individual attestation. Exception number 7, members of the U.S. Armed Forces. Non-citizens who are members of the U.S. Armed Forces, as well as their spouses and children under 18 years old, are considered exempted from presenting proof of being fully vaccinated against COVID-19. They must present a U.S. military identification document or other proof of status showing you either a member of the U.S. Armed Forces or a spouse or a child of one. Similarly, they will need a covered individual attestation. Exception number 8, sea crew members. Non-citizen crew members seeking to enter or transit the United States are afforded exceptions. They must travel as a C1 or D1 non-immigrant and following all industry standard COVID-19 prevention practices. As proof, they have to have an official document stating the necessity to enter or transit through the U.S. in order to operate a vessel or return journey after leaving from a vessel. And they're going to need a covered individual attestation. Exception number 9, national interest exception. This refers to non-citizens or groups whose entry is determined by appropriate agencies to be in the best national interest of the U.S. Those under such exception will require an official U.S. government letter and a covered individual attestation. Those under such exception are going to need that letter and the covered individual attestation. Sorry for repeating myself. They must attest to the same post-arrival public health requirements as with diplomatic and official foreign government travel, but with an addition of a post-arrival vaccination. Remember, all covered individual attestation must be presented to the airline or aircraft operator before boarding a flight bound to the U.S. And folks, that's all for today. If you're planning to enter the U.S. but uncertain on how that may affect your immigration status, feel free to schedule a consultation with us at Ms. Mecca Law or leave a message below. It will help you get through your journey. If you find this video informative, please like and share it with your friends. And if you have ideas for future videos, just let us know what you would like us to talk to, and hopefully we'll get to it for next time. Until next time, stay healthy and be well.